Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, is now at your doorstep.
By the way, what is corporate governance and what are its key pillars?
Will there be any conflict of interest if our person combines the roles of our chairman and a chief executive officer in a corporate organization?
What can Nigeria do to gain international recognition in the context of the application of corporate governance?
These and many more questions will be answered on
Corporate Governance Platform, a program designed to inform and educate our numerous viewers on the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities.
Join the Corporate Governance Platform crew every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. on MITV, your talent station, via DSTV 255 and UHF 43.
Corporate Governance Platform, your strategy for the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
Corporate Governance Platform, a program from the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria.
It's a beautiful Thursday in the city of Lagos. Thanks for joining us on your favorite program, Corporate Governance Platform, coming to you live from MITV in Lagos. I am your anchorman, Tunde Odeyemi. Today we shall be looking at committee systems and delegation of responsibilities by the board. And my guest today is Mrs. LYNDA ONEFELI. Mrs. LYNDA ONEFELI, FCIS, is a lawyer, a company secretary, a fellow and council member of the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria. She holds a master's degree in law from the University of Lagos, and she is the immediate past chairman of the Association of Professional Bodies of Nigeria, Lagos State Chapter. She is also currently the principal of Veritas Solicitors, a firm of legal practitioners and chartered secretaries, and a notary public. Mrs. ONEFELI is the chairman of the Publicity and Advocacy Committee of ICSAN. She started her career with the maritime law firm of Kola Olapoju and Associates, and subsequently moved to City Entertainment as legal, administration, and human resources manager, and thereafter to Bond Solicitors as a senior associate. She has attended several local and international courses, both on law and corporate governance administration. Mrs. LYNDA ONEFELI, you are welcome to Corporate Governance Platform.
Thank you.
And thank you for finding time to join us on the program.
It's my pleasure.
Okay. Let's go straight to the business of the day. We are talking about the committee systems and, of course, delegation of responsibilities by the board. I'd like to start by asking, what do we really mean by committee system in the context of the board of directors?
Okay, thank you. The committee system is where the board delegates some of its responsibilities to a subset. And basically, these responsibilities are specialized responsibilities, and they enable the board to concentrate on strategic matters as relating to the organization. Principle 11 of the Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance provides that a company should delegate some of its responsibility, the board should delegate some of its responsibility to a committee,
okay,
for efficiency and effectiveness. But then it's what's particular about not abdicating the responsibility. That means that the board still has oversight function over the committees as they carry out their delegated responsibilities.
Oh, splendid. Now, what are the committees that are traditionally recognized in the corporate governance balance as board committees?
Okay, there are basically some committees which are, that standing committees. The committee could be either standing or ad hoc. The standing committees, you have the audit and risk management. Some companies are separated as audit committee and the risk management portfolio, but some depending on the needs of the company. So we have the audit and the risk management, we have the remuneration committee, and we have the nominations and governance committee.
What are the roles of these committees?
Oh, well, these committees are very important because they are key, like you had asked earlier, they are the key committees in any organization. The audit committee is charged with ensuring the integrity of the financial reporting of the company.
Okay.
And they also carry out audits, IT audits, that is information technology audits, as well as data governance audits on an annual basis. And in their risk function, they are charged with ensuring compliance with of the company. Then you have the remuneration, which is charged, the remuneration committee, which is charged with the remuneration policies of the company. Of course, they make these proposals to the board, and the board approves or otherwise. And then the nominations and the governance, they're also charged with the policies and procedures for appointment of directors, reappointment of directors, of even qualification for appointment of members. They recommend appointment of members to committees and also to the board.
Okay, apart from the roles performed by these committees, in what way do the committees contribute to corporate governance as a whole?
Okay, one of the major things that the committees do is to free up the directors' time so that they can board of directors, so that they can concentrate on strategic matters. And you know that the board is seized with, they are the champions of corporate governance in the organization, and the committees play a supporting role. When they ensure, because most of the duties delegated to them are specialized duties. For instance, when you talk about the audit committee, you find out that those, even as recommended by the Code of Corporate Governance, those who will be appointed should have knowledge of finance. It says that the chairman should be, one person should be an expert in finance.
Okay.
So they bring specialized knowledge, and they ensure, so these are the roles. They also bring to the table efficiency, effectiveness, and these are the things that they contribute to the
corporate governance
of the committee.
Okay, still talking about corporate governance. The Nigerian Code of Corporate Governance 2018 stipulates that independent non-executive directors should be integral members of these committees. Why do you think this is required?
Oh, well, it's very obvious to me, because it's just to prevent conflict of interest issues and transparency, independence of these committees, because where there are no conflicts of interest, they're able to take dispassionate decisions and make recommendations that will be for the good of the organization.
Okay, if the code recommends that independent non-executive directors should be members of the committees, does it then mean that we don't have executive directors in the committee, or we should not have executive directors in the committees?
It's not recommended that they are in those committees.
Okay.
Because the same reason, it still takes us back, because they need to face the work. They need to face the strategy, they need to face, and also still takes us back to conflicts of interest. Some of these committees that determine remuneration of these same directors that we're talking about. So it's important that they are separate from the...
Okay, I want to talk about the chairman of the board itself. Why do you think the code restricts the chairman of the board of the company from heading any of these committees?
In my opinion, that's also obvious, because the code also says that the chairman of a committee should not be someone who would dominate.
Okay.
Just have a domineering effect on, and that will prevent the effectiveness of that committee. So obviously, if the chairman of the company is the chairman of a committee, it just goes to say that he's obviously going to dominate, most probably, that committee. And then it's also a bit illogical if He's in the committee, he chairs the board, he chairs the committee who's going to make recommendations to the same board that he chairs. It then tells me that it's a fait accompli, that whatever that committee comes up with is a fait accompli. The board will be, obviously, he chaired that committee and presents the same thing that he wants to the board where he chairs, and that is not proper.
Okay, that takes me to another level in this conversation. That means the reports of the committees will still have to be submitted to the board that the chairman will now review and probably approve. Clarify that for...
Yes. Okay, so because the board has oversight function over the committees don't take decisions, they make recommendations. So when they sit, when they deliberate, be it on specialized issues or otherwise, they would only have the power to make recommendations and take those recommendations to the board. And of course, the chairman chairs the board, and then it's either they approve or otherwise.
Okay, I want to go into some of the provisions made by the Corporate Governance Code. It says that the code provides the terms of reference and the composition of how such committees should be set out on the board approved, committee charter. Now, which should also be reviewed periodically by the board. Why do you think this provision is that very significant?
Okay, it's very significant because when you delegate an authority or you delegate a task to someone, there must be a scope. Okay. So with the board, with the committee charter or terms of reference, as the organization may want to call it, the charter contains their terms of reference. It contains the scope of the authority. It contains the scope of their assignment, so to speak. It contains things like quorum in their meetings. So that it limits and delimits their authority on that on the issues that have been delegated to them. And it's important that it's reviewed because the work of the committee is to help the company,
sure,
organization, and it is important that the work they are doing is relevant to the organization. So it must be reviewed from time to time, so to make sure that they are being relevant, and then they are appraised. Is this committee effective? Are they efficient? And so in reviewing, adjustments could be made to, sometimes you find out that the committee may need a specialist in an area upon review, and then they can bring in a specialist in that area to that committee. So it's important that it should be sometimes.
Okay, talking about the composition of the committees, according to Corporate Governance Code, is it the same number of membership we have in Company A that we're also going to have in Company B, or that we're going to have in Company C?
No, it depends on the size of the company. Even with the number of committees, it's not all sizes of companies. It depends on the code says that you look at the one that is relevant to your organization. And there's a cost to these committees, and the bigger organizations may be able to afford to run more committees than smaller organizations. So it depends on, but though the code would say a minimum of 3 members.
Okay.
But it doesn't have to be that the exact number of members.
Okay, the membership of the board committees depends on the size of the company and of course the size of the board of directors. Yeah. Thank you very much, Mrs. ONEFELI. We have to go on a very short break. When we come back, we continue our discussion on board committees and delegation of responsibilities of the board. Please don't go away.
Corporate Governance Platform, a program from the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, is now at your doorstep.
By the way, what is corporate governance and what are its key pillars?
Will there be any conflict of interest if our person combines the roles of our chairman and a chief executive officer in a corporate organization?
What can Nigeria do to gain international recognition in the context of the application of corporate governance?
These and many more questions will be answered on
Corporate Governance Platform, a program designed to inform and educate our numerous viewers on the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities.
Join the Corporate Governance Platform crew every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. on MITV, your talent station, via DSTV 255 and UHF 43.
Corporate Governance Platform, your strategy for the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
Corporate Governance Platform, a program from the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, is now at your doorstep.
By the way, what is corporate governance and what are its key pillars?
Will there be any conflict of interest if a person combines the roles of a chairman and a chief executive officer in a corporate organization?
What can Nigeria do to gain international recognition in the context of the application of corporate governance?
These and many more questions will be answered on
Corporate Governance Platform, a program designed to inform.
You're welcome back. We're still Corporate Governance Platform coming to you from MITV. And I still have with me right in the studio Mrs. LYNDA ONEFELI, championing and discussing the topic for today, corporate governance issues as it relates to committee systems and delegation of responsibilities of the board. Mrs. LYNDA ONEFELI, you said that the size of the committee depends on the size of the company and also depends on the size of the board of directors itself. Now, is it necessary for small company to also establish board committees? If they are small, is it necessary for them to also establish board committees?
It's not compulsory, like I had alluded to before the break. It's not compulsory to have all these committees, but it is necessary. It's based on the need of that company. Okay. The company will look at its needs, even it's in the code. The company will look at its needs and determine which committees it wants to. But in all, it has to establish processes that would engender good corporate governance in the
okay.
organization.
That's good. From your earlier remark, you said that the code of corporate governance had some traditional committees. Yeah. You mentioned the audit committees, the risk committees, the nomination committees. These are traditionally what board committees, board of directors, the committees that board of directors you found. Are there reasons for board of directors to go beyond these traditional committees and form other committees?
Oh yes, there are. Particularly some companies in some specialized industry. Okay. There are some committees that become necessary, but those ones are traditional. But as the needs of the company, as they desire, as they require, they can form specialized committees that would they have some companies have things like corporate social responsibility committee. Sometimes companies have committees that will attend to certain issues that arise in their industry, that are peculiar to their industry. So in that instance, they normally would establish some other committees that are different from.
And in some instances, they can also establish ad hoc committees.
Yes.
That will look at some issues and the committee will also phase out.
Yes.
Does that also is it applicable?
Yes, very much so. Some other committees where they are tasked with certain tasks and charged with certain tasks. And once the task is completed, then the committee is dissolved.
It's dissolved,
yes,
okay. Now, I want us to look at some key things as it relates to corporate governance and of course, board of directors. And it's something that has to do with the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, which you are a member, a council member and a fellow. So what is the Institute doing concerning capacity building on corporate governance evaluation and board evaluation, which are two key areas that are becoming more and more popular in corporate governance parlance today?
The ICSAN, Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, being champions of corporate governance and realizing the importance of these areas, we have started to train board evaluators and corporate governance evaluators. We have had some training organized in the past few months towards the end of the year, and there are still some others that are in the kitty that we're going to have. So we're focusing on capacity building in this area because it is very, very important. It's because the corporate governance in an organization is the root of that company. So we are paying very, very good attention to it, and we have trainings that are.
Okay, perhaps there are companies that are watching us now and they are interested in coming for such training. How would you advise them? Well,
I would advise that they contact the institute, because the institute could do in-house training. We do have some that are not in-house that we organize. We already have dates for, and we could do on-site training, come in and train their key staff on these on corporate governance, audits, and board evaluation. So they can just contact the institute.
Okay, still talking about training. Do you have specialized training for different responsibilities for specialized committees of the board? For instance, you mentioned audit and risk committees of the board. This is a specialized area. Does your institute have specialized training for members of the board on the aspect of risk and audit?
You have asked particularly about risk and audit, I'm sure.
Or any other committees.
So yes, from time to time we have trainings running through. We have trainings running through the year that cover all these areas, and any organization that is interested, or even an individual, will just contact the institute. We have trainings all through the year that would cover.
And this training covers that specialized areas?
Yes. Different topics, some on audit, some on that would cover remuneration. We have those trainings in.
Okay, I want to talk about remuneration, because you mentioned that there is a specialized committees of the board that also handles the remuneration.
Yes.
Now, this committee handles the remuneration of the entire employees of the company. Yeah. Do they also handle the allowances or what is being given to members of the board?
Yes, that's they even though the board would approve but they set out the policies and a framework for the company, so that the company will have a policy, a remuneration policy. But eventually the board would also, because everything, they are a committee, okay, the board would have to.
Because that is where I'm actually driving to. Because if the also has to recommend remuneration or allowance for a committee that they are also a member, would that not be a conflict of interest?
That's why it's recommended that they have independent directors and non-executive directors in those committees. So because for those people, they're not salaried.
Okay.
So that reduces the issues of conflict of interest. That is one of the reasons that they are required that you have INEDs and all in these committees.
Oh, that's beautiful. Now I want to look at the tenure of members of the specialized committees. If a member of the board of directors is to stay for about 3 years on the board and is a member of a committee, will he also stay for 3 years as a member of that committee? Or after every year, the code says that the terms of reference can be reviewed. Yeah. Does it mean that every year the members of the committees should be changed? Or as long as they are on the board and as long as they are on that committee, they will be on that committee as long as they are on the board of that company?
No, because they are serving at the pleasure of the board.
Okay.
And as it's reviewed, sometimes a committee terms of reference and the committee could be evaluated and it's discovered that they need someone with a particular skill set they could bring in, and they can find out that this person is not suitable in this committee. They can take it. So it's not compulsory that they will serve through the time, but it's recommended that every member of the board belong to a committee.
Okay, it's recommended that every member of the board should belong to a committee, independent non-executive directors, and at times some executive directors on the board can also be a member of that committee.
But like the remuneration committee, it's not recommended that they.
Okay, it's not recommended for executive directors should be in the remuneration
Yes.
committee.
Yes.
Now, talking about board evaluation, how is the board committees, how are they being evaluated? You know, we have general evaluation of the board. Now, how is the committees of the board being evaluated?
The company secretary actually spearheads this. It works with the nominations and the governance committee.
Okay.
So it's the nominations and the governance committee that working with the company secretary that evaluates these committees and the board. Okay,
thank you very much, Mrs. Linda ONEFELI. It's been interesting and educating talking to Mrs. Linda ONEFELI on committee systems and delegation of responsibility of the board. I want to thank you very much for finding time to come to the program.
Thank you. I've had a good time here today.
And when we invite you some other time, you will oblige us.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, that is it on Corporate Governance Platform. This is where we draw the curtains and wrap it up for today's episode. I am Tunde Odeyemi, thanking you for finding time to join us on the program. Bye-bye for now.
Corporate Governance Platform, a program from the Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, is now at your doorstep.
By the way, what is corporate governance and what are its key pillars?
Will there be any conflict of interest if a person combines the roles of a chairman and a chief executive officer in a corporate organization?
What can Nigeria do to gain international recognition in the context of the application of corporate governance?
These and many more questions will be answered on
Corporate Governance Platform, a program designed to inform and educate our numerous viewers on the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities.
Join the Corporate Governance Platform crew every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. on MITV, your talent station, via DSTV 255 and UHF 43.
Corporate Governance Platform, your strategy for the adoption of corporate governance best practices by corporate entities.
Institute of Chartered Secretaries and Administrators of Nigeria, ICSAN, the hub of governance professionals.
Corporate Governance Platform, a program